So in those first three questions on this worksheet, we could just do reducing and simplifying, and there was no square roots left in the denominator. For 4, 5, and 6, that's going to be different, and we have seen these before, so this should just be review. But for number 4, we have square root of 3 over square root of 5. Those don't simplify, and they don't have any perfect squares. So if you remember, what we did with these is we would multiply them by a form of 1, and that form of 1 would be this square root in the denominator over itself. Because something divided by itself is 1, so we're multiplying by 1. We're not changing the value at all. We're just changing the form. So now we multiply across. We have square root of 3 times square root of 5 is square root of 15. And then square root of 5 times square root of 5 is just 5. Remember, if you ever multiply a square root by itself, it's just equal to the number that's inside there. The long way of getting that would be to realize this is the square root of 25, which is 5. And so we look here, we have the square root of 15 over the square root of 5. Some of you might be wondering, can we reduce the 5 and 15? We cannot, because the 5 is not in a square root and the 15 is in a square root. Let's move down to number 5, and I'll let you do number 6 on your own. Number 5, first we look and we realize we can do some reducing here. The 20 and the 15 are both in square roots, so they can reduce. So 5 goes into 20 4 times, and 5 goes into 15 3 times. So we will rewrite this 3 times the square root of 4 over the square root of 3. Well, I probably should have taken the square root of 4 while I was at it. 3 times 2, because the square root of 4 is 2, over the square root of 3, so right now we have 6 over the square root of 3. Again, as mentioned earlier, these cannot be reduced because 6 is not in the square root and 3 is. This is not simplified, though, because we still have a square root in the denominator. So what we'll do, as we did up here, we multiplied by a form of 1, and it was the square root that was in the denominator over itself. So now we have 6 times the square root of 3. Square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is just 3. Now in the last one we were done here. This one we're not, because here we have a 6 and a 3. Neither are in a square root, so they can be reduced. So 3 goes into that once, and 3 goes into that twice, and we're just left with 2 root 3. And that's our answer for number 5. You can use those methods to help you with number 6.